The first day of school for New York City is 5 weeks away, but there's still a lot of concerns over what the school year will exactly look like for students and teachers come the fall.
What about the teachers? What about the parents that they go home to and the grandparents?
They say younger kids like that really are not in the mix of the COVID, but the teachers are.
All right, so let the rumors spread. Public Advocate Jumaane Williams has a proposal of his own, and he joins us this morning to share it with us. So good morning to you, Public Advocate. Good to see you once again.
Good morning. Always a pleasure.
So let's get into it this morning. You want the Department of Education to delay the school reopening by a month to October, which differs from what the chancellor and the mayor are saying. So how do you think that would actually help students make up for the lost time in the classroom?
I think most folks believe that we have to. We have to take into consideration the very real threat and the perceived threat. And we have to think of all of the populations, the students, the parents, and the teachers. And we have to do risk management. And so the plan we're going to put out today has 3 different stages. One is we definitely have to wait until October to open up. We need to have rec centers open. And the second stage is allowing just the younger children under 10 to begin to come in. Not only are they least susceptible, they're the least to actually be able to spread the disease. And then we should reassess at the end of the year to see whether or not we need to do further next year.
And what about that time lost, that month of September? Would it get tacked on to the end of the school year?
Well, during that time, we'll still be learning. So we want people to still learn remotely. And the rec centers, the regional enrichment centers that are open now, will allow those students who parents have to drop off because they have to go to work to go to those rec centers and learn remotely, while the children who can stay home are still learning remotely as well.
So why do you think this plan works better than what the chancellor and what the mayor are saying? What are health experts telling you about this kind of idea?
Well, health experts have told us that 1, it's definitely way too soon to open up the entire system. And 2, children under 10 are the best to begin with. And so we want to use those scientific brains to help us decide what we're going to do. And we understand that some parents have to go to work. So the rec centers allows for that. It also allows for the older children to be able to stay home, and we can begin opening up in phases. We have very tough decisions, and we have to make the best sometimes of bad decisions. But we have to allow the people of New York City to understand why we're making it, make it articulable, and be able to address all of the concerns that the different populations have. And this plan does that.
So your plan actually calls for giving priority, like you said, to elementary school students. What's the rationale behind that? Is it because of the health and they're less susceptible to the virus?
That would be in the second phase. The first phase, we want to pause and open up at least in October. The second phase, that's why the rec centers are open. And the second phase is the young people. All of the medical professionals tell us not only are they less susceptible, but they are the ones that are least likely to spread the disease, so that they're least likely to spread it to the teachers and bring it back to the families. So we want to use science. And I want to be clear that this isn't about getting rid of all risk. I don't know if we can do that even in our daily lives. But we as government have to be able to minimize the risk as much as possible and be able to articulate that to the population.
When you say open up in October, does that mean open up everything all at once? Because under the mayor and chancellor's plan, the big concern is childcare for the days that students are not in a classroom. So when you say open up in October, does that mean everyone goes back altogether?
Absolutely not. So beginning in September, everyone is still remote learning. The rec centers are there for those parents who feel they cannot leave their children home because they're too young or because they don't want to leave them home. And what we found is the rec centers are being underutilized, so we don't expect it to be overwhelmed. The second phase, we are only opening up for children under 10. That's it. And then we have everyone else still remote learning, either in the rec centers or at home. And the third phase is reassessing at the end of the semester what happens.
Did you talk to the mayor and the chancellor about this?
Well, we're just putting out the plan today. We're hoping that the mayor and the chancellor will read it and respond to it. By the way, those parents who have special needs on D75, they will have special priority in the rec centers. So we want to make it equitable. The people who need the most help at the beginning, we want to give them access to it.
So I just want to put this statement up from the DOE. Their spokesperson, Danielle Filson, who released this statement saying, our plans for the fall are built with the input from our public health experts and survey data from our families and staff, and we welcome any additional ideas. So they are open to exactly what you're talking about. But lastly, I wanted to ask you, how does your proposal address the concerns right now of parents who are saying, okay, I have to go to work in the fall. I don't know what to do here.
Again, so this is why we took this into a lot of consideration. There are some parents who have small children, and there are some parents who, even slightly older, are not comfortable leaving their home. The rec centers address that. So at the beginning, everyone will be remote learning. They'll either be remote learning from their home or they'll be remote learning from the rec centers. So we want to give
Understood.
parents an opportunity to go to work and leave their child in the rec center so they can also learn remotely.
Okay.
We're trying our best to address every concern that the population have.
I want to get your take. One last thing before I let you go, and this is off topic of education, but there's a lot of recent shootings across the 5 boroughs. This weekend, you attended the wake for the 1-year-old shot and killed in Bed-Stuy. In an Instagram post, which was very powerful, you said, I could barely look at the tiny coffin or listen to the children's music. Kept thinking of the horror and trauma that I felt just to be there. Then I saw his dad, mom, and grandma. My God, we owe them more than rhetoric. Quickly, what do you think needs to happen? Because that was a very powerful post.
Yeah, that was it was very tough to be there, and I can only imagine what the family is going through, and we owe them more than rhetoric, and so we have real plans that we put forward that can address this gun violence. And I keep saying to people who believe that the police and law enforcement have no part to play, that's wrong. And the people who believe that they're the only or biggest part, that's wrong. We need to stop the rhetoric and really address the plan so we can get to the root problem. Because when you look at a tiny coffin like that and a 1-year-old child, we all need to stop what we're doing and find a way to fix it. But I also want to be clear that this pandemic has exacerbated everything from housing to food insecurity to domestic violence to gun violence. We should have anticipated this and had a real plan. Those victims and those families deserve us to have.
They certainly do deserve better. The entire city deserves to feel safe, and I can feel the emotion and hear the emotion in your voice, understandably, when you see the image that you posted. Public Advocate Jumaane Williams, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.